And it's a beautiful Friday morning right here in Lagos, Nigeria. Good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching from. It's Business Morning live from Channels HQ. I'm Ladi Williams, and I hope your morning is going just great. But let's take a look at what's happening with the markets now. We see oil prices rebounded today from losses of more than 1% in the previous session as investors turned cautiously optimistic over the fading risk of a U.S. debt default. Brent futures rose about 59 cents to $76.45 a barrel, while U.S. WTI crude climbed 48 cents, about 0.7% to $72.34 a barrel. Sentiment remains mixed as investors juggle optimism over avoidance of a U.S. debt default with inflation data that could portend more interest rate hikes from global central banks. Nigeria's crude oil production fell month-on-month by 17.7% to 1.25 million barrels per day in April, marking the second consecutive month of decline, according to data from the National Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. The decline in April's production figures could be attributed partly to the shutting down of oil platforms and declaration of force majeure by some oil companies mid-April. Meanwhile, the drop appears to strike a significant blow to recent gains made from renewed efforts by the federal government to tackle oil theft and pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta. And the Federation Account Allocation Committee has distributed a total of 655.93 billion naira April revenue to the federal, state, and local governments. The disbursement shows a decrease of about 58.69 billion naira when compared to March's allocation of 714.62 billion naira. The committee says the federal government received 248.8 billion naira, state governments received 218.3 billion naira, while the local government councils, they got about 160.6 billion naira. Also, about 28.2 billion naira was shared to oil producing states, as 13% derivation revenue. And the Bank of Industry has maintained an appreciable growth in its financial performance in 2022, despite the unstable global business environment. The chairman of the bank, Mr. Liu Diko, made his disclosure during the bank's 63rd annual general meeting in Abuja. He adds that the bank's total assets grew by 39.2% between 2021 and 2022. Take a listen.
Nigeria's oldest and largest development finance institution, the Bank of Industry, is holding this 63rd annual general meeting amidst the impact of the global economic challenges from the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war. Shareholders and the management team of the bank are looking at the books to assess the performance of the bank in 2022.
Total assets of the group grew by 39.2% between 2021 and 2022, from 1.71 trillion to 2.38 trillion, respectively. This growth was largely due to the three successful capital raising transactions worth 1.8 billion euro in the year. The group also reported a growth of 11.7% in its total equity between 2021 and 2022.
Despite all of these economic challenges, the bank increases credit to the Nigerian private sector.
Credit to Nigeria's private sector increased by 19.7%, or 6.88 trillion, to 41.8 trillion from 34.92 trillion in 2020 and 2021, respectively.
As Nigeria joins the rest of the world on the road to full economic recovery, the managing director of the Bank of Industry, Mr. Olukayode Piton, speaks on how the bank's operations will still favor the Nigerian micro, small, and medium enterprises, despite the country's accelerated annual inflation rate of almost 22%.
Most of the loans that we give out, the rates are anywhere between 9 and 10%. So actually, this is a time for, the small and medium-sized companies to actually, come and take more loans from BOI. Because when you have the monetary policy rates at over 18% and you are getting funds from us, at about 10%, it means the funds from BOI are subsidized.
The management of the bank remains confident of an improved outlook in 2023, while promising to deliver on its mandate to strengthen the micro, small, and medium enterprises.
And countdown to the commissioning of the Dangote Refinery. That's Monday next week. It's practically upon us right now. President Muhammadu Buhari will be in Lagos to commission the 650,000 barrel per day refinery. But let's get a sense of what Nigeria's private sector expects after the commissioning. Joining me now is Mr. Dele Oye, incoming National President of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, Nsima, joining me from Abuja studio. Great to have you on the show. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we know energy is a critical component of any country's economy, and we've seen rising energy prices. That has stoked inflation globally. But now we have finally our own refinery coming up next week. What are your expectations, with the commission of the Dangote Refinery?
Well, naturally, it's a huge relief to every Nigerian with the challenges we've had with the issue of petrol subsidy. I think the coming on stream of the Dangote Refinery will bring to end, or at least substantially reduce, the excess money being paid by the government to subsidize fuel. What it also means there will be enough availability to the local market. And I think to every Nigerian is a huge relief. And we all look forward to the gains from such huge capacity which will be at our disposal in Nigeria. We also make Nigeria a net exporter of refined petroleum, which in itself is also create economic benefits in terms of employment and other opportunities for Nigerians. We are all very happy in the private sector, and we congratulate the federal government and Dangote Refinery for this huge success.
And looking at the global market now from a refining perspective, where exactly do you think it will place us in the short term versus long term?
Well, from the information available, the refinery, I think they're supposed to start with about 300,000 capacity and do steadily grow up, of course, scale up. What it means is Nigeria will be joining the leagues of India, Saudi Arabia, and several other countries who have achieved this feat of putting their name down in the oil and gas sector. Because our biggest problem had been we'll be sending out crude oil without also importing refined products. What this had meant is that all the byproducts which are normally used for industry, we've not been able to take advantage of this. So this is a real win for all of us, especially in Africa, that for one man to put all this together, I think it deserves all the support which government can give. And we in the private sector, we are right behind him and also congratulating him for this feat. So it puts us in a very, I think we'll be number one in Africa in this. I don't have all the statistics worldwide, but I know it really puts Nigeria in a very different level, because our biggest problem has been in being a net importer of refined crude, which has made a major problem to our economy. So I think there are a whole lot of savings there, and I think we should celebrate it. It's something we should all actually look forward to.
Yeah, we're all definitely looking forward to that. But what do you think the incoming government should do about Nigeria's refining capacity, even after the commissioning of Dangote's refinery? What kind of support, should the Dangote refinery be getting, from the government?
Well, there's already a strategic relationship between Dangote Refinery and the government, with the guaranteed crude investment, which was being paid for by crude oil. I think government should find a way to further provide all the necessary encouragement. It's not just the federal government. The Lagos State government should also be commended for providing the climate for such an investment to be made. And I think the federal government should find out anything they can still do to encourage not just Dangote, any other person who has such pioneering efforts, by providing additional incentives so that people can take advantage of that and invest in several other sectors. So government should provide anything that is required, every possible assistance, so that the investors can actually be able to sustain with their investment, because with every new investment like this, there are several other challenges which would naturally crop up when you start operation. So government should stand by Dangote, and indeed, all Nigerians should stand by him so that we can make sure he succeeds, so that it will also be a catalyst for several other investors. And I'm aware the investment in the free trade zone, and the government should respect all agreements with operators within the free trade zone, so that it can also be a catalyst for the investors who are there now, who have several challenges, to be able to get appropriate returns on their investment. And also the financial sector too, because there's a huge loan attached to this kind of investment. If government keeps its own part of the bargain, you will see that more money will go into that sector, and there'll be more employment and more opportunities. All this problem of our children going abroad prematurely, we'll see they'll start coming back if they see there's higher economic activities in these sectors. So we fully support it, and government should do everything to make Dangote succeed.
Yes, and we're all definitely excited, about this commissioning, and all looking forward to it. But, in your opinion, do you see any risk ahead, with the Dangote Refinery being the one major refinery right here in Nigeria?
Well, we have several. We have the Warri Refinery, Port Harcourt Refinery, and the Kaduna Refinery.
Functioning.
I don't know what government. Some are quite epileptic in their functioning, and I don't think government should get out of business. I think government should privatize those refineries in a very transparent manner, so that they can complement the efforts of Dangote. Because you can never have too much refining capacity. But to just keep them there, paying salaries and doing what they call turnaround with several public money, it's not easy for government to run business. I think government should allow the BP privatize those refineries so that we can start getting the benefits from there. And indirectly, they can actually work in collaboration with Dangote refineries, because whether you like it or not, Dangote has come to stay. And I think if one man can pull this challenge, I think government should be able to have the confidence to allow that private sector players to take over those other refineries. What is important is the process should be transparent so that it can ensure public confidence.
All right, moving away from that now, I guess congratulations are in order right now. You're the incoming president of Nsima, and I guess it's all about incoming leadership, at this time. How do you see the task ahead for you? We've had advocacy for many years now, but we're still struggling, in this economy right now. What else do you think is needed to support advocacy right now?
Well, I would say I'm quite lucky that we are having a new president who is pro-private sector. He's a businessman. And unlike the previous one, who did not have that kind of credentials. So what it means is we in the organized private sector, especially at Nsima, we're quite happy he'll be able to speak our language and understand the language of business. I don't think I have to spend too much time convincing government under him, because we've seen what he has done with Lagos State and what they continue to do in Lagos State. Lagos State is probably the only state in Nigeria that is being run almost like a private enterprise. And if we bring that kind of knowledge and specialization into governance, I think we'll have improved policies, and government will show more interest and understand the plight of the private sector, and know that the real prosperity of Nigeria is not in being in government, but encouraging private sector. And that's why at the annual general conference we are having, the key, the theme of the conference is public-private partnership for national development. So this is why we are clearly focused, and I can assure you, I know Nigeria has just got the right driver for the right vehicle, and we're going to drive Nigeria straight to a better Nigeria, a Nigeria where rewards will be given to appropriate people with the optimum experience, so that we don't have to put the wrong pegs in the wrong holes. So I know they would approach the business like a businessman. The business of governance, and we are there to support him and to give all the necessary advice to make sure we have this shared prosperity, which is a wealth of knowledge in the private sector. I'm optimistic, I'm excited, and I think we're going to have a new Nigeria.
Fantastic. We know, obviously, that fight against inflation still continues. Now, we've talked about how energy, is added to that, rising cost of energy, food prices. We've seen the, MPC and central bankers globally, try to fight inflation with raising rates. So far, right here in Nigeria, the MPC has raised rates by to about 18%. Right now, we have inflation for April there, 22.22%. How's the private sector, handling increasing costs of borrowing? And what are you recommending for the final meeting, MPC meeting next week for this administration, for the MPC meeting?
Well, we in the private sector, our biggest problem first of all, there's not enough money to fund the private sector. And the biggest other problem is most of the funds that are even available, they are short-term funds. What it means is if you borrow at that rate to do any investment, you can only buy and sell. You cannot do anything like involving any productive capacity because it takes more than 18 months for you to turn around. So there's no long-term funds, and I think that should be the area government should focus on. And also make sure that there's enough development funds. There's no mortgage, there's no serious mortgage funds. People who want to buy things and they still buy by cash. You have to put all the money down. What this has done has created a situation where people are going to almost rent seeking. They just buy and sell. And you cannot grow any economy like that. You need to encourage the productive sector. Government needs to fund all the development banks. It's very important, give more money to them so that they can borrow long-term, minimum 5 years. That way, you'll be encouraging people to put more of their talent here in Nigeria. A lot of our youth are going out because of this lack of opportunities. All is tied down to capital. If capital is available, there'll be more employments, more opportunities, and people will take more risks. But what has happened, you keep increasing the interest rates for loans, the minimum rate by the central bank. I think it's not helping anyone. You're only creating traders instead of developers. So you need to put a deliberate policy in place and appreciate the kind of economy we have. We cannot use the same systems or the same policies that even the other countries we are copying, especially from the Western world, they don't give loans at 18 or 20% or 30% that we get in Nigeria. So we can't compete. The AFCTA is around the corner. We started. How do we intend to export or compete our colleagues from other African countries who get funds at lower rates? This should be the yardstick upon which government should and the central bank should look at. If we are in a market, we are borrowing at a higher rate, we can compete. So what is going to happen is Nigeria will now be a dumping ground for those products. So we have to look at our own environment, look at protective capacities, and make sure we have the right mix of funds. Long-term, even the short-term funds should all be in single digits. This has been the position of Nsima, and though I am not in the position to speak for Nsima, I'm not yet president, but I can tell you, we in Nsima have always asked for single-digit loans. If Nigeria really want to test the private sector, what it can do, give us long-term loans, and see government will just stay and collect your taxes. But if you keep giving us short-term loans at very unreasonable distance, you're only encouraging the traders and not the manufacturers. So this is our position, and I think every serious person will support this, and I hope the new government with their experience will know that we need long-term loans at single digits.
Yes, yeah, you are the incoming national president of Nsima, and definitely I know you're going to hit the road running when you're sworn in. But let's look at the incoming administration now. What do you want to see first 100 days in office? What would you like to see? Just a quick 1-minute response.
Policy consistency, full engagement with the private sector, public-private partnership, and most importantly, give us security and also give hope to everyone. There's a whole lot of people who are not happy in the land. Government needs to work hard to bring unity to all of us. You cannot build in the midst of fire. You must encourage peace. And these are the investments that are critical for our national development.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Dele Oye, incoming President Nsima. Thank you for your perspective today.
Thank you.
All right, now let's head on to another conversation right now. We see recently The IMF did say the sub-Saharan African countries have recorded an average about 8% depreciation of their currencies since January 2022. And according to ABSA Group Limited, Nigeria will likely devalue its local currency by about 15%. Well, joining me now is Mr. Aminu Gwadabe, President, Association of Bureau de Change Operators, APCON, joining me right here in our Lagos studios. Great to have you on the show, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for
having me.
Good morning, Nigeria.
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey for the Naira in the past 8 years. I remember about 2015, the parallel market was about 230, if memory serves me right. And now, fast forward to now, about 749 Naira in the parallel market. I want you to break it down for me. How did we get here with the Naira?
It's a tumultuous journey, like you have rightly pointed out. It's topsy-turvy. It has been a combination of so many factors that see us where we are today. A volatile Naira have underpinned the slow economic growth recorded in the past few years. This has been due to what we call desperate economic foreign exchange regimes that ranges from peg to dirty crawling peg and then flexible exchange rate. There are so many factors that before I entered, I had you talking of inflation rate. These are some of the Keynesian factors that determine the exchange rate of the economy and also the interest rate. So the interplay of these factors also go a long way. We have seen their movements, from that 2015 to date, and that have really exerted a lot of pressure. The Naira is not weakened by the purchase of dollar, but the Naira is weakened by the grafted or unearned income that has no value into the economy that is purchasing dollar. This is a peculiarity to Nigeria. And since you have that gap, almost a gap of 60% between the official or the formal and informal market, there is no patriotism in capitalism. So there is no way you will be able to at least have a stable exchange rate. No economy can survive under such kind of multiple exchange rates. It is distortions, it is disincentive, and create a lot of round-tripping, loss of confidence, and currency substitution. So these are some of the factors that culminated in making the Naira to continue to be weaker against other foreign currency. Remember, the foreign exchange of an economy is its own oxygen. That is our own oxygen. And we lack saving culture. Just from Russia-Ukraine war, Angola was able to save over $20 billion from the oil windfall. In Nigeria, we could not save even $1. And there is no way you can have investments when you don't have savings. So these are some of the issues. The unearned income that is also an albatross on our exchange rate, and then the lack of savings and fiscal indiscipline, and also the multiple exchange rate are factors that are really giving Naira lack of sleep.
Yeah, quite a picture you've painted there. But I remember in 2021, the CBN did stop dollar sales to BDC, and I believe at that point, that was supposed to, help the Naira, strengthen. And I'm wondering how you were able to get supply, your association and members, of your association. How were you able to get supply?
First and foremost, let us understand the objective behind even the formalizing the Bureau de Change subsector. One is to ensure liquidity into the retail FX market. And what we have been witnessing over time, there's no liquidity in the retail FX subsector of the market. And this is the market that a lot of people are using as a reference exchange rate, as a reference benchmark. Yes, there is the I&E window, but how many Nigerians are getting their services and product at I&E window as a finished product? This is the question. So it has not been realistic, it has not been effective. Then the supply side also of the market has been dwindled. There are 4 or 3 types of supply sources that we have. One is the natural traditional crude oil, which we all know is going down. Subsidy is pervading it. We don't even have anything from there to make investment. Investors, loss of confidence. A lot of investors have left the economy. For them to exist is very, very difficult. There are a lot of billion-dollar log that is still the investors are looking to carry to exist the market. So this is also another issue. Then the foreign direct investment and the portfolio inflows are also very, very limited into the economy. So there are no sources, no doubt about it. We quite appreciate that. However, coming to the question of our suspension and our objective and the role we have played, over time from 2006, the Bureau de Change have remained the only potent instrument, mechanism, transmission mechanism of the Central Bank of Nigeria that checkmate the activities of the informal market. You see, when that suspension came, it's like the heaven will come down. Everybody is like, yes, that is the best policy that should have taken place to checkmate the volatility of the Naira. But yet, that policy almost embarrassed everybody, as at that time, the informal market was being like 500, 495, and over time now we're talking of it has even gone up to 850. Now as we speak, the exchange rate in the informal market is 760 Naira to $1. So this is the implication. You see, the policy is inhibitive. It has really removed livelihood from over 5,000 members that are licensed by the Central Bank of Nigeria. This is a huge sector. Its capitalization is over $300 billion Naira.
So that policy impacted your
definitely it has impacted
negatively,
because you see, it's a policy that comes with no alternative. In that policy, we have been having issues of suspension outside of the CBN window. But at any given time, you now come with an alternative.
The alternative was for the
alternative. There is yes, there's autonomous windows. There is diaspora remittances. Our diaspora remittances is stable, is huge, is big, is cheap. This is about $20 billion. Other countries leverage on these diaspora remittances by way of securitization of the diaspora remittances. So the incoming government should cue on what other clients have been doing, are galvanizing with diaspora remittances. And the Bureau de Change operators will definitely serve that purpose. What we have now is a monopoly, and that monopoly has to be broken because we don't even receive the inflow. Most of these diaspora remittances are left abroad for the purchase of items, for 21 items that are banned from the I&E window and other luxuries that are banned as an import item into this country. So for us to receive, for us to benefit from diaspora remittance, China, India utilize over $30 billion annually for infrastructure from the proceeds of diaspora remittances. Nigerians, we have about 15 million Nigerians outside the country. And all of them doing well.
Help that we're also an import-dependent country. That definitely does not help because that takes all the valuable dollars out. But let me ask you now, how would a single exchange rate system or a managed float, how would that impact your business?
Definitely because there will be inflow. There will be liquidity in the system. What we see now, the several exchange rate is a disincentive to people that have this money to bring into the country. I said it before, there is no patriotism in capitalism. You cannot tell me to come into a market of 460 when there is other market that will buy the same product at 760. So collapsing, harmonization, that's why as a group, we stand with the position of the incoming government that recognize harmonization, that recognize institutional reforms. These are germane and effective that we inject the strength of the Naira. There is the need for repositioning our Naira for growth. It's very, very important.
All right, I'm going to ask you a quick one. Now, where do you see the Naira in, say, after the incoming president takes office? Where do you see the Naira in, say, 6 months?
First, I think there are a lot of confidence around the incoming government. even from other investors that we're seeing. So the incoming government should galvanize that. And I can see some states already have started going abroad to survey markets for non-oil products. So this is a good move that we galvanize, that we attract a lot of foreign exchange. We will help the incoming government to ensure that there is liquidity in the market. And then finally, like I said, the hanging fruit is the diaspora remittance. And the BDC are prepared, are willing, are working to partner with the incoming government so that there will be liquidity in the market. Once you have liquidity in the retail exchange and FX market, definitely you solve a lot of problems. People looking for $1,000 to travel, they cannot see it. You have to queue for 6 months. You have to queue for 6 weeks. $200 for you to get and buy part for your computer, you cannot get it. So this is where the issue is.
Right.
This is where the lacuna is. So we have to address it effectively with leveraging on the Bureau de Change subsector.
Fantastic. All right, I guess definitely it would be a thing of pride to see, the Naira at least strengthen at some point, because a strong currency is good.
See, it's our benefit for Naira to be strong. Right now, before the suspension, our capital is reduced now because of the fluctuations in the exchange market. Right. So there is nobody that benefits, like we, the operators, if we have a stronger Naira. So we are willing, we are praying, we are working to see that Naira remains stronger.
All right, fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Aminu Guadabe, President, Association of Bureau de Change Operators. Thank you for your perspective.
It's my pleasure.
All right, so we'll take a break now. When we come back, artificial intelligence hype rages on. We'll discuss what this means for your job. That's our next conversation. Do stay with us. Welcome back to watching Business Morning live from Channels HQ. Well, artificial intelligence has been indeed revolutionized various aspects of our lives in recent years, from emergence of AI voice assistants like Siri and Alexa to the advancements in predictive analytics and generative AI. This technology has had a profound impact on how we live, work, and seek entertainment. But will AI take your job sometime in the future? That's our conversation now. Joining me is Mustafa Zoini, the chairman of AI in Africa and CEO of Flipton. Great to have you on the show.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
Good morning. So I know GTEX Africa Digital Summit is coming up at the end of the month. It's been described as the largest, most influential tech and startup event. What can we expect this year?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I am already in Morocco preparing for GTEX Africa. This is an immense opportunity to focus on technologies and opportunities that's ahead of us in the continent. Ourselves, we are preparing on a couple of boot camps around the future of work, digital nomads, the regulation around AI and preparation around that, and of course, how to be part of this revolution around responsible AI.
All right, let's talk AI now. It's been described as many things, and one is how much disruption it will bring to the global job market. So I'm going to ask you now, is my job safe?
That's a very good question, and I'm not sure that you want to hear the immediate answer on that.
I want to hear. I can take it.
I think your job may be safe on one aspect, but your avatar might be doing your job also at the same time. So the future of work with AI is inevitable. And I understand we need to address a lot of the concerns and the fears that people have about AI and other tools. And it's understandable that we are scared around AI taking over our jobs and our workplace. But we need to realize that AI is supposed to not to replace humans, but to augment and enhance our capabilities. So the key lies in how proactive strategy we focus in on reskilling, upskilling the workforce to adapt to this changing landscape. But you're right, the displacement, many of the jobs involve routine repetitive tasks, manufacturing, data entry, basic customer service, risk of being replaced by automation. But new jobs will also be created. right? So the challenge here is how will it be used to promote fairness and reduce bias in the workplace? How do we actually have this transition ensuring that the benefits are shared widely and fairly? Because the opportunities are here for us in the continent to leapfrog actually and create and access new jobs.
So I got that report that about 85 million jobs will be replaced globally by 2025. You did mention, jobs will also be created through AI. So I'm wondering how much of that is AI going to create if it's going to disrupt about 85 million by 2025?
Look, I mean, if we compare already the jobs that we are having today with 1940, we say there's a few reports that talks about 60% of the jobs did not exist in that time. So clearly, we will be identifying new type of opportunities, and these opportunities we need to be prepared for that. And I think this is where the challenge are today in terms of our education, our infrastructure, and how do we access to these new jobs. And some of the new jobs, and specifically the youth that are entering even primary school today, will be doing jobs that are not existing at all, and we're not able to identify. And we talked about youth specifically right now. So clearly, we already have various type of avatar representation, or AI robot that will be able potentially to do the similar type of the work. Yet, empathy, trust, the human interaction, creativity will not be replaced. So I think we need to look at it on how do we participate in this revolution through these skills and not being afraid of it. So how do we upskill ourselves? And you can see today, most of the highest job demand is in data scientists, machine learning, and so on. And so how do we embrace it? How do we fast track our space to be able to level the playing field with some of the US or Asia markets?
All right, tell me what jobs exactly and what industries will be disrupted majorly by artificial intelligence?
As I mentioned, let's look at it from a healthcare or education agriculture perspective, right? We already seen a lot of AI-powered diagnostic tools to extend healthcare to serve underserved population. In agriculture, we can optimize crops and improve resource management. In fact, even in employment, right? We'll be able to use actually AI to minimize some bias around that. Yet, as I mentioned earlier, some of the jobs are repetitive and so on will be actually disrupted. So I will say today, if you are in a space where you're not using AI as a graphic designer, for example, then or if you're a developer even today, then you can enhance your development skill by 10x by using different type of tools available to code generation and validation, similar to graphic designers. Yet, if you are in the jobs around personalization, localization, and I think the jobs of project management and the whole component of the human aspect of this change management, there are a lot of opportunities available now, and they will be still available because we do need this human-to-human interaction, and I think we need to look at these AI tools as a tool that's actually to enhance us and not to replace specifically this work. But there's opportunities for us in this market to actually address directly work in the Western markets. I heard earlier around your colleague talking about the expat communities and so on. But actually, we can be an expat right now today without moving from our homes and access these jobs, and potentially also bring currencies to our own markets. And that AI will enable us to do that very quickly.
So how can businesses identify, which tasks can be automated and which that cannot be, automated?
So look, it is similar to any kind of other technologies in a way, right? So we do need to, and this is where we should not be making some mistakes of not putting the human in the middle of that interaction. So automate, if it is, I mean, we don't want to use, we don't want to see AI used as a pretext to actually remove and displace some jobs because of an automation or supposed automation that will help actually the overall value of the organization. So in this case, I think again, this is why we are making sure that it's essential that either you're working today or you're still entering on the job market, that you need to be familiarize yourself with the potentialities and the challenges and the responsibility that AI brings to the workplace, and without just moving into the solution. And that's why us as an organization, we're focusing a lot on the problem-solving capabilities to apply AI in a responsible way. And so without that training, we will be just moving immediately, I think, in just replicating what is the bias that we already seen in our society. So it's not just about automation, I think, but again, it's about how mindset, how we use and apply these AI tools and capabilities to actually improve and not just displace.
What other kind of disruptions would artificial intelligence bring to the way we do business in Africa?
So as I mentioned, I mean, how we do in business in Africa will change. How business model will be, how traditional business model in Africa will be disrupted. But they also prevent, and we need to look at these significant opportunities that can bring. By leveraging AI, we can enhance operational efficiencies, optimize decision-making processes, and gain a competitive edge that we did not necessarily have yesterday in respect to some other developed countries or some developed countries or different markets. But this disruption may require organization to adapt and to evolve the strategy and workforce. And therefore, we need to improve on, for sure, AI will help us on improve on customer experience, on increased productivity, and probably we need to leverage how to access and scale our operation more efficiently. And so we talked earlier, how we saving and so on. So AI will enable us maybe to look at the data and enable us actually to have a better type of credit score and better access to formal financial services that were previously not available to a lot of micro entrepreneurs, for example.
All right, let's talk about some of the risks here with artificial intelligence. I do remember watching some movies, some sci-fi movies where artificial intelligence gets self-aware and starts to do negative things to humans. Is there any risk of that?
Well, clearly there will be some risk associated with that because the people who are designing AI are humans, and so as humans, right, we're already carrying some bias, and therefore, and I think there's a lot of concern around the transparency of this algorithm. And as long as these boxes are black boxes that we're not able to see what's happening inside, and we're not transparent, then clearly there are some risks that they can be misused, and we'll see a lot of different models, some of them good and some of them not so good. And so I think an important aspect is, and this is why we're talking at GITEX Africa, around the regulation and how the Africa perspective of the regulation governance of data and how it can be much more ethical and transparent. And this is an important aspect for us in this continent to take ownership of how data, in order to not to replicate what we've seen in the past, specifically in the social media, social dilemma perspective. Remember, we should be very grateful that we're living in a period where we've seen the computer, the internet, the social dilemma, but the AI revolution is much bigger, and so it's up to us to make sure that it actually respects some of these, that it's actually responsible, and that's actually the human that designing it, actually not replicating some of the challenges that they actually seen, and I'm sure you've seen some of this misuse in the past in how we're using the data in this social media aspect. Well, the data is even more important right now in AI, and capturing that resource and how we're addressing it is even more important than ever.
All right, I guess we'll keep watching and see how regulation for artificial intelligence plays out. Thank you so much, Mustafa Zaini, Chairman, AI in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's head on to the markets now. We have Anete Edet. And Anete, yeah, we've been talking artificial intelligence, and I'm wondering at some point, maybe artificial intelligence is going to trade for us and we won't have losses like we have yesterday.
Yeah, well,
0.90%.
Artificial intelligence is gradually creeping into every aspect, every area of our lives, and I think we're beginning to get used to the word AI.
Right.
And of course, it won't be surprising if it also creeps into the financial markets, because already you have your chatbots, which you can chat with to ask several questions, and it gives you answers. So it wouldn't be out of place to think about that, but I would say it's not not immediate. Let's give it about a couple of years from now.
All right, let's give it time.
Especially within this decade. So that's just my own perspective on
Fantastic.
that. But I can give you which is not AI generated. Actually, this is what happened for the close of Thursday's trading session, and as well as the fixed income market.
Right.
So the Nigerian Stock Exchange, well, we had 3 days of positive trend, positive gains, but take a look at your board there, 0.90%, which is about more than 471.43 basis points decline. And then in Naira terms, over 256 billion, that's approximately 257 billion was knocked off from the market's total value. And that's because we had a lot of sell pressure from 27 stocks, and then in contrast to 22 gainers. But the biggest story there was that Airtel, the red color there, was imprinted by Airtel, which lost about 6%, or share price was down in value terms by 75 Naira. So that's it for that market. Let's move over to the sectoral performance. It's just a color of red all there. Airtel's color still rubbed on across the 5 key sectors of the market, particularly the oil and gas sector, as well as the banking sector. We saw Owando's share price as well as Adova falling. That's why that counter of the market is down. But of course, at the same time, all of the counters were in the red. Let's move over to the activity chart. Activity was down by almost 51%. That's where you can see on your board there. Value was also down 34.77%, while the deals was down 19.74%. So that's for Thursday's loss has already wiped out the entire gain within 3 days this week, 0.90%, in contrast to what you had, just about 0.7%. Let's look at the top trades. For the top trades, we have the share price of Access being the major contributor to a total of the total volume of shares traded yesterday, followed by GTCO as well as Zenith Bank. So that's it for that market. Then we will be talking to fixed income analysts to tell us more about the fixed income market, where we saw bearish sentiments across the Treasury bills as well as the bonds market. So now we have Bankole Odusoya, the head of trading team at Polaris Bank, to tell us more about the fixed income market, as well as what to expect in the coming week, the next week, which is the week before the inauguration. Thank you for joining us, Bankole.
Thank you, Anita.
Okay, now, can you bring us up to speed with, I know we've been talking about the fixed income market this week from the FGM bond auction, as well as the results. That's for this week. So now what are we to expect, particularly now that we had the FAC inflow, and we'll be counting down about 10 days before the new government is being sworn in. So give us more details into how this is going to affect the markets.
Okay, there was reduced activity in the market upon the debits of about 368 billion for the bond auction. So what had happened was our system became illiquid, and it's in a repo, as we usually call it. System is in like a negative about 100 billion. So what's happening is that we expect reallocations to come in next week to ease the tightness on liquidity. However, next week there'll be Nigerian Treasury bills auction, where over 100 billion will be on offer also, but there'll be maturity that will match in that. So that'll be in and out of liquidity. What's happening is that the illiquidity has pushed some pressure on the overnight market, where bonds are now being placed and taken at 18%. We expect that to go to as high as 19. Of course, it's reflecting where general MPR is, monetary policy rate is at 18. Inflation itself came out at 22.22. So going into the pre-election week, we expect the tightness to continue, because even when the federal allocations come, it's likely to come in at the end of the week next week. So basically, that's what's happening. Bond auction debits triggered the illiquidity that we are currently experiencing.
Okay, Bankole, I think we'll just have to leave it there. We're out of time, but we thank you for that analysis. And of course, our eyes are always on the market. So that was Bankole Odusoya, the head of trading team at Polaris Bank. So, Ladi, it's a flurry of red, but then, of course, some expectations. Don't forget, people are in the market to make gains, as well as share in the losses.
Share in the losses, exactly. Thank you so much, Nancy. Watching out for how the market closes today. All right, so we'll head on to another market now, see what's happening with Bitcoin. They're still struggling below that 27,500 level, and we see the market there, 48 points. Let's flip over the top cryptocurrencies that we track. In the market now, we see Bitcoin there below 27,500. $26,886, down 1.34%. So we're seeing a blood in the market right now. Big declines there. Ethereum 0.73% down, and we see Cardano also down 1.80%. CXRP did have that nice run there. Might be having another one, 0.35%. The only positive on the top altcoins that we track. Let's bring in Olumide Adesina, our financial market analyst. Olumide, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ladi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, Olumide. So it's a big struggle below $27,500 for Bitcoin. How do you see price performance this week?
Yeah, it's been a rowdy session. Fully the debt limit crisis, the fact that the US dollar at some points was rallying and was breaking against many currencies, including we saw gold tipping below $2,000 per ounce. That also could affected Bitcoin. Well, interestingly, the president is in Japan, so that somehow moderated the US dollar against today. And unsurprisingly, you could see Bitcoin recovering from its lower lows yesterday, trying to break above the $27,000. But concerns are still around regulation. We've seen the stiff regulatory stance in the United States, forcing powerful entities like Coinbase, and recently we're seeing also XRP facing the route of the US magistrate court. But how it plays out definitely have an effect in the market. But interesting signs are that meme coins excitement seems to have tailored down with Pepper, but we have another one in town called Group Picard, which is also trying to raise some engagement. But I think on the local front, I think the IMF rated the Nigerian Naira laudable despite low adoption, and that just tells you very much on how the dynamics in blockchain in Africa's largest economy is playing out. So it's been a different take in different markets, but the market is still optimistic that the blockchain will definitely thrive.
All right. So, Olumide, what are you seeing for next week? A few seconds.
Well, yes, I'm waiting for the US Fed speech in some hours' time. Any hawkish stance definitely will weigh on the crypto market throughout this weekend to early for updates on new US data. So it's really up to what the US Fed chief speaks in some hours' time.
All right, watching out for all of that. Thank you so much, Olumide Adesina, financial market analyst. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see the top gainers are Marcia topping that count to 7.31%, $4.70. That's what's trading out today. We see XRP there on the top gainers counter, reflecting the bullish sentiment we're seeing with XRP with their case with the SEC there. They seem to be getting some points. That's why we're seeing traders loving that. And we see in INJ 1.59%. Top losers this morning. Lido Dow topping that counter down 6.58%, $2.15. Profit taken on that cryptocurrency. All right, that's how the market's looking today. We're interested to see how the market plays out this weekend. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to join us at 1:30 Business Incorporated for more updates and developments in the world of business. And you can watch this again on our YouTube channel. Just flip over to YouTube, search for Channels Television. You can check videos and see all our productions. Thank you for watching. I'm Ladi Williams. Enjoy the weekend.